Am I the asshole for setting up my staff member to fire him? Okay, so I worked for a struggling restaurant. They had hopeless security, no cameras, rare stock takes, bartenders counted out their own tills. In short, extremely easy to steal from. When I started, several senior staff were skimming from the till, which is very easy to do when you count your own. Stealing drinks was rife. I'm talking taking whole cases of drinks from the cellar, not just having a few knockoffs. Those staff got phased out and I got put up to manage the bars. I put better procedures in place to stop the rampant theft. Not because I'm a bootlicker who loved the boss. I didn't, he understaffed and underpaid whenever he could get away with it. But I and my team actually really liked working there. I just wanted the place to survive so we could keep our jobs and keep working together. But one guy, the first, was still skimming the tills. Significant amounts. I normally didn't have enough staff for me to count every till every night, but I started counting his. It always came up mysteriously way over, but when he counted it, it always came out perfect, which suggested he was skimming on purpose. Talked to him, he claimed ignorance, mistakes, he's bad with math, etc. Warned him he needed to be more careful, his discrepancies were a problem. He kept obviously trying to avoid having me count his till, or getting head up if I worked the bar with him, because he couldn't mess with the till then. I could have just dropped him off the roster, but I hate doing that with no reason, so I wanted to be extra sure. So with office staff as witness, I overloaded his float at the start of the shift by $20. Floats were meant to be X amount, so I made it X plus 20 but didn't mark that on the float sheet. What should have happened is that he counts it, notes it as $20 over, and returns the same amount in the float at the end of shift. I let him count out his till at the end of the night, it came back without the extra $20. I told him he would no longer be on the roster because of his bad record on till discrepancies, and that I knew there was $20 missing. He raged at me for setting him up because everyone did it, and for singling him out. Said he thought it was normal to pocket the extra dollar if the float was out. It was like tips if the company made a mistake. So this was entrapment. It was harsh to kick him out of a job just to take care of the boss when the boss was an awe. He needed the money for his kid. I could have just given him a final warning, etc. I didn't report it or tell the boss, I just didn't give him any more shifts. Now normally I'm all for worker solidarity, and honestly other staff probably did pocket $5 per 10 here and there if they were over, but not systematically. And I know I could have seen it as justified repayment for our cheapskate underpaying boss, but I guessed the guy was skimming $100 plus per week, and while I'll turn a blind eye to perks like taking some food or drinks, this was beyond, and he'd been warned. Am I the asshole for setting the dude up? ETA, because this seems to be a common misconception. I wasn't protecting or condoning others who might have pocketed a spare $5 here and there. I just didn't have the resources to be checking every till, because cheap-ass boss, whereas I had good reason to think this guy was skimming a lot more than that, and deliberately so, not just pocketing an occasional accident. I was trying to pick my battles with the resources I had, not condone anyone else swiping cash. If this were a more formal workplace environment, I would hate this, but it's a restaurant. They're high-pressure environments and the rules are a lot looser than they are in other industries. You're not the asshole. Both because he had many opportunities to see that you were onto him and stop skimming, and because it's not like you called the cops or anything. He'll find another job within 2 weeks and he can try that behavior there and see how it goes. You didn't really harm him all that much and you gave him plenty of opportunities to stop what he was doing. Not the asshole. He knew what he was doing and tried to switch the blame, shame on you even though he was the one in the wrong. If you have trouble counting money, wipe out your phone, calculate, it's not that hard. He's just making excuses. Not the asshole. Absolutely no excuse for his theft, and that's exactly what it is. Theft. Absolutely not the asshole. Not the asshole. If he wants your complicity in his theft, he needed to have obtained it before the fact. Forcing other people to keep a secret like that is shitty, manipulative behavior, and makes him firmly the awe. You warned him, it was his choice to ignore that. Not the asshole, dude, he was warned and he knew on some level that he is being watched, not that her should have been careful and fair only because of that. Completely not the asshole. Not the asshole. You did your job as a manager and gave him a simple test to see if he was stealing. He can't blame you for him doing something illegal with the excuse that everyone did it. Used to work in a restaurant. This was called tipping the till. It was a common occurrence when the books started to not add up correctly. You set him it to see if he was stealing. He was stealing. Not the asshole, but you should have told the owner, emo. This is like a scenario in a job interview. All his excuses were just nonsense words. He's extremely lucky you're not reporting him, and not reporting him is questionable of your morals. Allowing people to habitually steal from your establishment sets you up for this situation. Am I the asshole for not allowing my stepsister's daughter to sleep with me and my daughter while on vacation? Edit. Thank everyone for the responses. Happy to know I'm not the asshole here and I'm not crazy. I was able to have a good icebreaker convo with her about setting boundaries and made it clear where mine were. It went over well and she even started setting some boundaries between her daughter and mine when I mentioned some other small stuff that had been going on between the girls. A little backstory, my 34 female family goes to my aunt and uncle's ranch quite a bit. It's open to everyone as long as we ask and clean up afterwards, which we are all willing to do. When we go with my dad, his partner's daughter, 33 female, who I also grew up with, and her family, husband and daughter who is 7, comes with. There are plenty of places to sleep but not always in actual beds. Their daughter has no boundaries and tends to wake up whoever she's sleeping with at the ass crack of dawn and demands they do things for her, set the Nintendo Switch up for her, make breakfast, etc. My daughter does not do that and tends to sleep in as late as she can. She has not always done that, but now that she's older she makes it a priority to sleep in when she can. This particular time my daughter, 12, and I were getting there later than everyone else. When we got there they put us in the room where there are bunk beds and a queen bed with the little one because her parents wanted to sleep alone. When I made a stink about it and quite possibly threw a fit, okay, I did. I threw a fit. They couldn't understand why I wouldn't want to sleep in the same room as their daughter. She said, well, I thought the girls could sleep together in that room. I pointed they could sleep in that room on the queen and my daughter, and I could share the queen in the other room as I have no problem sharing a bed with my kid even if I wasn't a single mom because she's my responsibility, not anyone else's. Instead of staying in the bunk bedroom with their daughter they made her sleep on the couch with my dad's partner because apparently she can't sleep alone in the living room. I got the cold shoulder the majority of the trip because it didn't just impact me and my daughter, it impacted my dad and his partner. I feel I was right. That when on a trip with limited rooms you shouldn't expect that you get your room alone without your child. And you definitely shouldn't expect someone else to manage your kid at bedtime. Especially when that person has already gotten past that age with their own child. This past weekend we were planning another trip and she mentioned planning bedroom assignments ahead of time and tried the same shit again. Putting her daughter in a room with me and mine. I said the same thing. They should room with their own daughter. She says, I can't even make this up. You mean my husband and I share a room with our kid? Like it's a new concept to her. I said, well, she is your kid, and moved on. They text the next day backing out of the trip. I'm wondering if I'm an asshole for not wanting to share a room with their kid. Am I nuts for thinking they should be in charge of their own kid at night and in the morning? I don't mind being on duty during the day as needed. I'm not a monster. Just not during the bedtime routine and the morning routine. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. They obviously want a babysitter. Stand your ground. Not the asshole. Why are you burdened with sharing a room with both kids and they're allowed to sleep child-free? If there's not a room where the girls can sleep together while allowing the adults to have their own space, immediate families should bunk together. End of story. And your niece's parents need to teach their daughter to respect boundaries. If she wants help in the morning, she is to go to her parents. Not the asshole. Stepsister is treating you like she's on vacation and you're the hired help. I really don't see why her canceling on account of the sleeping arrangement is in any way a bad thing. Does she think she's punishing you somehow? Because in the future, I would go out of my way to make sure I don't visit on weekends she and her family are there. I'm betting the bedroom issue isn't the only area where their behavior leaves much to be desired. Why is a 7-yo pulling crap like this? They need to teach her to be respectful of other people and their sleep. It's not like a 7-yo can't turn on a TV and make cereal while everyone else is sleeping. Why aren't you telling her parents plainly and clearly that you refuse to room with her because she rudely wakes you up way too early and ruins your sleep, your daughter's? It seems like nobody is happy with this habit of hers. Not the asshole. She's their responsibility. She's annoying. Communicate. Not the asshole. They want her to wake someone else up so they get to lay in. Not the asshole. Throwing a fit over sleeping arrangements is a bit much, but if the parents don't want to sleep with their own kid, why they expect you to is entitlement. It's likely they just want the same alone time and to sleep in, and are trying to pawn off the daughter effectively. Not the asshole. I would understand putting a group of kids in the same room together, but if a child was being roomed with an adult other than their parent, I only think it appropriate if that parent agreed to that arrangement. Otherwise, I agree with you, the kid should be in the same room as her parents or sleeping in a common area. Just as an extra note, by 7 I would expect a child to know that if they wake up early they are not to wake others unless it's an emergency. A 7-year-old should also be able to get themselves a snack, drink and occupy themselves with a quiet activity, drawing, reading, playing with toys, until the rest of the household wakes up. Not the asshole. I could see the logic of wanting the kids to bunk together and let the adults have their own rooms, but this situation just sounds bizarre. Am I the asshole for holding road trips hostage? Okay, this is trivial, but I'm curious enough to post here. Last weekend, I, 28 female, my roommate and best friend Amy, 29 female, and our mutual friend Sarah, 26 female, decided to rent a cabin by the lake to avoid the record-breaking heat. Sarah also brought her yellow lab Trixie. Backstory on me and cars. I am very lucky in that I do not get carsick. I also can't drive due to epilepsy. When driving somewhere with 3 or more people, I often end up volunteering for the back seat if the other passenger either gets carsick or has long legs. I'm genuinely fine with that. My brother is 6 feet 4 inches and gets carsick, so I know how miserable that can be. I also really don't like car trips of over about an hour. They make me twitchy and uncomfortable and mildly claustrophobic. This has nothing to do with being in the backseat. I don't like them in the front seat either. However, since I'm an adult and sometimes I want to do things more than an hour's drive away, enjoy the company, I suck it up and deal and don't complain. The only reason my roommate knows is that we were discussing things that annoy you disproportionately, and it was on my list. Anyway, I gave Sarah the front seat. She's 5 feet 10 inches and I'm 5 feet 6 inches. Her dog was in the backseat with me and is a lovely dog but unaware of personal space. Also, she had the seat pretty far back, so I had very little legroom. 2 hours into the trip, I asked if we could trade for half an hour to give my legs a break. She said no, she gets carsick. I didn't know that, so I said, no problem, can you maybe pull the seat forward a few inches? I would have moved behind Amy, who was driving, but she's even taller. She said no because of her long legs. I said that my legs were cramping too and I wasn't asking for the whole trip, just half an hour or so to give me some relief, especially with Trixie trying to get underfoot. She asked if I had an issue with her dog. I said no, I love Trixie, she's just underfoot. She then said, if this ride is such a trial for you, maybe you shouldn't go on road trips. Here's where I might be the asshole, because this was needlessly inflammatory and petty. I said, okay, next time I'll stay home. At this point Amy got mad at Sarah because Amy knew that I wasn't exactly bluffing. It wouldn't take a whole lot for me to just stop going, and I know Amy doesn't want that because she likes having a road trip companion. I wouldn't penalize Amy for Sarah's behavior, but I might get a lot choosier about which trips I went on. Sarah got pissy and said I was throwing a tantrum and making her look bad. The weekend was, pretty tense. We seem to be okay now, more or less, but was I the asshole for, as Sarah says, going nuclear, and holding trips hostage, to get my way? She says that I don't understand what it's like to get carsick and to have long legs and that I shouldn't whine about things when I'm lucky that way. And I do know that I'm lucky for my complete lack of carsick, airsick, seasickness. Not the asshole. I'm 5 feet 11 inches and I make sure the person behind me has space for their legs. Sarah's being a jerk. Not the asshole, and Sarah sucks. There is some etiquette involved on road trips that require spending a lot of time together in a car, and one of them is to compromise on space. If you get the front seat, that's a privilege, and you don't respond by moving the seat really far back. She's the one who made the trip tense by being an entitled brat. Not you. Not the asshole. This is a very strange and extreme reaction to asking for legroom. Sarah is selfish and entitled. She's obviously projecting and needs to get over herself. Not the asshole. You were thoughtful and let a tall person sit in the front in order to have legroom. You sat cramped in the back for hours, asked them to move forward or swap, which is a perfectly reasonable request, and they said no. Your friend is selfish and she is the one who caused all the drama and upset. She kicked off. She caused the awkwardness. Your friend Sarah is the asshole. You made a simple request to move her seat up a little, just for maybe half an hour. Her snarky attitude was uncalled for, and it makes me wonder if she had an issue with you before this trip. She definitely overreacted, and I feel like something might have been brewing before this incident. But as best I can tell, you are not the asshole. You volunteered to sit in the back, which is sometimes uncomfortable on a long road trip, depending on the car. Sarah sounds like an entitled brat. Not the asshole. She was being inconsiderate. I went on a long road trip about a month ago with some of my friends and one of them refused to rotate who sat in the front seat because she had stuff up front and it would be too much work to move it. I kept my mouth shut during the trip to keep the peace. But I definitely called her out on it after. Not the asshole. Next time tell her to sit in the back. She can take some Dramamine or barf out the window. Nothing about this was reasonable. Not the asshole. You offered compromises and they were met with rudeness. Even what you said back wasn't rude, just matter of fact. Sarah needs to learn some manners. Am I the asshole for stand up to my mill? My 27F husband, 29M. And I found out a few months ago that we will be parents soon. It's a huge deal for us because we've been trying to get pregnant for the last year and we are so grateful and full of joy that it's finally happened. It's important to say that both his parents and my husband are lawyers while my dad is a constructor and my mother is a dancer. For them it has been enough to give me and my younger brothers, 23M and 17M, everything we needed in life, but unfortunately it has provoked that his mother, 54F, and his sister, 32 female, to look down on me and my family. This caused my husband to go low to almost no contact with his side of his family 2 years ago, only texting his father and his younger brother every now and then. I work as a preschooler teacher and with the pandemic and not everyone accessing to a computer or free time to supervise their kids with this pandemic, my job has been difficult, so in November of last year I decided to get another job as a barista in a cafe a few blocks down our house. It didn't thrill my mill when she found out, and while my husband said that it wasn't necessary, I wanted to support him in the way he supports me and to be able to take home some money. After we found out about the baby, my husband said that he didn't wanted to break the news to his family because he knew his dad or brother wouldn't be able to keep it a secret for much longer, and while I respected his decision I decided to talk to him about it after we told my parents because I couldn't keep my mom's joyful face away from my head and I felt as if we were robbing that moment from not only his mom but his entire family. It was my mistake. Ever since we told her, she has been coming to my house non-stop uninvited. At first I was fine with that because I thought she was just excited, First grandchild after all, but then the comments began again. If I showed her something like a crib or a onesie, she would throw comments like, "Can you get that with your teacher salary? Sorry, barista? I guess my son's money can be used in something better. If my family is paying for that, we will get something better." This time I tried to fix it on my own by talking to her, but it didn't do anything. I finally had enough when she said that I could probably invite 3 or 4 people to my own baby shower and to leave the rest to her. I told her that she had no right to interfere with that kind of stuff, that I had enough of her insults, and that she was the one who could invite 3 or 4 people and not me, and if she didn't behave we might not even invite her. She left my house furious and became even more angry when my husband backed me up and not her when he found out. However, some of my husband's aunts and his sister think that I overstepped by threatening to no invite her to the baby shower and that I should apologize. I know my husband adores his family. I don't want to be the reason he stops talking to them again. Not the asshole. She is a snob. Keep firm boundaries set up with this woman or she will run roughshod over your lives. Discuss early on with your husband what kind of financial involvement you'll accept from them on behalf of your kid, or your mill may try manipulate you with money for college funds, etc. And my goodness, it's your baby shower, not hers. Who ever heard of the mill inviting her own people to her Dill's baby shower? Yikes. Not the asshole. Your husband needs to resolve this. This isn't your fight. He needs to make it known that comments about money are unwelcome. If they continue, he needs to be the one that removes them from your life. Not the asshole. You husband's aunts and sister have no horse in the race. Their comments matter not. Good for you for standing up to your mill, and great job to your husband for having your back. No, no, no. Don't let them do this to you. I know my husband adores his family. I don't want to be the reason he stops talking to them again. If he goes low, no contact, it is because of their behavior, not yours. You are not a doormat. You are the wife of your MIL's son and the mother of her grandchild. She treats you like you are beneath her because she is an attorney. She is a giant gaping awe. You are not the asshole. I need sunglasses to see you. Op with the supernova shiny spine. Awesome job. Please feel free to block any relatives who talk bad to you. They get one warning to not butt into your business before they get cut off. Or just cut them off. I'm very glad your hubs backs you up. Justnomil. Give yourself a trip down scary mother-in-law land in that subreddit. Better to prepare yourself if she goes crazy. Sil and aunts-in-law have shown themselves to be Mills flying monkeys. Don't tell them anything. Not the asshole if you do have stand up to her now. Good luck with the next 18 years. I can say this with experience. I didn't stand up and have regretted it for 17 years. If my family is paying for that, we will get something better. Right there, carrot, 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 that's your problem, right there. She considers your husband to be her child and his money is theirs to control. She's not realizing she is now extended family and the family money that is buying these items is DH and yours. DH needs to make it clear that his family's finances are not any of her concern and not up for discussion and that she has no say in his marriage or his home furnishings unless asked. Not the asshole if your mill doesn't respect you, she shouldn't be involved in anything to do with your fetus, baby, child. Set this standard early. Also, does your mill think that she and her family just magically became lawyers or that a teacher helped them get there? You and your profession deserve far more respect than this.